Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, Vinny, and I hope you enjoyed my last vlog that I posted yesterday about the whole video game thing. If you're not into video games, don't worry about it, because today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Now, you guys probably know that I'm also an independent filmmaker who loves making short films. I've made a couple features in the past, and I really enjoy in my alone time is to pop in a movie. And I've been watching movies my whole life, so I've probably watched some bajillion, million, trillion movies in my lifetime. And some good ones, some bad ones, some really, really horrible ones that I never even finished because they were so horrible. But yeah, I decided that in this little vlog here, I would talk about my top 10 favorites, and it was really, really difficult to narrow some of them. I know some of them I was like, do I like that one more than this one? Okay, cut it out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this vlog, so let's go ahead and do this. So number 10 is an independent film I actually caught on Hulu probably earlier on this year, and when I watched it, it was so captivating. The acting was brilliant. The storyline was original, and the movie I'm talking about is called Dreamworld. Alright? A beautiful actress named Mary-Kate Wills. Shout out to her if she sees this. I actually tweeted her after I saw the movie, and it was kind of awkward, and I was like, oh my god, your acting was amazing in this movie. And she was like, thanks. And I was like, oh my god. She tweeted me back and said thank you. So that was really awesome. Whit Hertford was the other guy in the movie. And basically the storyline goes, I don't want to give it all away, but he ends up going to this museum, and he ends up meeting this girl. And of course, it's like, when you first meet someone, oh, well, what do you do? What are you into? Well, he says that he wants to be a professional, like, graphic artist, animator, and his dream job would be to work for Pixar. And she goes and she says, well, I have a connection at Pixar, or I know someone who can get you a job there. And he's like, really? And she's like, yeah. And she's this really crazy, psychotic chick. And I think that's what makes it hot, in a way, is that she's like so crazy and psycho, but she's so beautiful and has this like hidden charm inside of her. So that's my number 10 top movie of all time, is Dreamworld. Alright, so number 9 is a movie called Jersey Girl. Now hold up. No, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez in that little comedy romantic movie is not the movie I'm talking about. I'm talking about a version way back in 1992 or 1993 that came out, and it's Jersey Girl, and it's just one of those cute comedy romantic films that takes place in Jersey. There's the diner, and the car dealerships, and the Italian family, and the hardworking office girl type of thing. It pulls you in by basically this guy. This girl, she ends up hitting him with her car, and it's basically a love at first sight thing. And the guy's like, hey, what are you doing? I can't believe you just hit my fancy rich car. And she's like, oh my god, I'm sorry. And typical Jersey girl with the big hair and the nice body. And they end up hitting it off, and you're like, oh my god. And then, of course, the comedy romantic, you have the climax where you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And you just gotta watch it to see. Great movie. The acting was, typical 90s film, a little kind of cheesy, but overall it was amazing. I mean, like I said, it's number 9 on my list. So I'm not really big on horror films, and I'll tell you why. Personally, in my opinion, I think some of the acting is way over the top, really cheesy, and you have to be a really superior actor to be able to nail horror scenes properly. I know some of them, it's just like, oh my god, they're gonna get me, and then you're like, okay, that's too cheesy. And then some of them that like have amazing cinematic feel, and the music and the tempo and the sound effects, when like the guy's getting, butchered with a knife, or, the chick is, like slaughtering, a zombie or something, and you're like, that's freaking awesome. So horror films are very difficult to impress me, and my number 8 top 10 movie is actually like a horror thriller type of thing, and it's actually not a U.S. film. It's a Japanese film called Reincarnation. I think it's Ren or Ryan, or it's like the original like title. Directed by Takashi Shimizu, who's really known for doing The Grudge and Ju-On series, and Reincarnation. I remember seeing this film on like HBO or Cinemax or something like that. It was on Stars, or it was on or maybe Independent Film Channel. I don't know. It was on one of those, special channels. And I remember watching like the first, 40 minutes of it, and I was like, man, this is really good. And then I had to do something, and then I ended up, when Blockbusters were shutting down, I ended up buying a copy of that movie, Reincarnation. So that was pretty cool. It's really good. I love the cinematography in it. The cinematography in it is amazing. It's just like there's a lot of dolly shots and a lot of, crane shots where the camera's like here, and then all of a sudden it gets to like here, and then it dissolves into something else, and you're like, man, this is great, dude. This is brilliant. Number 7 is a movie that, my dad told me about. I remember, and he said, The Purple Rose of Cairo is a Woody Allen film, and the place where they filmed the movie actually ends up being Bertrand Island in New Jersey, right after Bertrand Island closed down. And then shortly after the movie was filmed, then of course, they ended up turning into condos, 10, 15 years later. But it's basically a movie within a movie type of thing. I love those type of movies. Okay, so basically it takes place. Jeff Daniels is in it, and it's probably one of his serious roles that he plays. A little comedy you get to see in there. You get to a little singing in there as well. It's nice, and basically what happens is, it's about how people used to go to the movies, and the movies. You would get into the movies when you would go to the theater, and you'd see a movie once and you're like, oh, it's so good, I want to go see it again. But what's different about The Purple Rose of Cairo is that one of the actors in the movie that this girl's actually watching ends up, popping out of the screen, and she ends up like really falling in love. And Woody Allen, the way he did this movie is really brilliant, because he kind of shows people that it's easy to become obsessed with movie stars and actors, and you think that what they are on the movies is what they are in real life. And it's just like, how people are fascinated over a character in a book and they become obsessed over it. So the movie, the theme is, obsession and all that. So it's really cool. It's called Welcome to the Rileys. And I know what you're probably thinking. You probably are looking up right now going, who's in it? Well, Kristen Stewart. And Kristen Stewart, I'm not really a fan of. She was semi-okay in Adventureland, but the whole Twilight, you know what I mean? It's like, oh no, oh Edward, and then she played with her hair, Edward, But this movie was probably Kristen Stewart's best performance in a film. Welcome to the Rileys is basically with James Gandolfini, who, was Tony Soprano in The Sopranos. James Gandolfini, he ends up going on a business trip, and he ends up, needing some space away from his wife, so he ends up going down to New Orleans. And one night he ends up meeting this stripper, this exotic dancer, whatever you want to call it, who was basically Kristen Stewart. And they end up meeting, and they ended up, getting a friendship out of the, in the end of the movie, because he kind of, cared for her, and You know, there was some sketchy stuff going on, but Welcome to the Rileys, a really good movie, cool storyline. Number 5 is a movie I just saw this past year called The Last Ride. It was an independent film. It didn't really do well in movie theaters as I hoped it would. And I checked it out at the Redbox around April, I think it came out in the Redbox. The movie was called The Last Ride. It really was about the Hank Williams story of Hank Williams Sr., who was on his way to his final, well, on his way to a concert to perform, and he ended up passing away. And the story kind of goes in depth of kind of the last, 24 hours of his life, and, it was just like, wow, this is really good. And the actor who played Hank Williams was really just, wow, his performance in that movie was so good, just to, bring it out, and his performance was amazing. The storyline was good, the movie was good. The only downfall of The Last Ride that I did not like was the cheesy chroma key green screen stuff, okay? Most of the movie, like 72% of the movie, took place in a vehicle, and as the vehicle's going, some of it was just green screen central. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. This was a movie I have to say I first watched my freshman year of high school when I was taking film classes, and I was taking a film appreciation class, and our teacher put on Psycho, and it was the first time I personally watched it, and I was like, wow, this is cool, and to hear, like my grandparents, they're like, I remember I saw that in the theaters back in 1961, and oh my god, that was so scary and creepy, and and I'm like, oh, this isn't creepy, it's fucking cool. But Psycho is one of those movies that's iconic and historic. And I've been fortunate to, my family took me to Universal Studios right after when I saw Psycho, and I got to see the Bates Motel house in person, and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, oh my god, that's really the Bates Motel in the house, and number 3 on my list is Singing in the Rain. Wow, number 3. I remember being like 5 years old, and there was an application on my parents' first computer we ever got, and it was basically like the top 250 blockbuster movies of all time, and this movie was listed on one of them, and it was Singin' in the Rain, and there was just a clip, and it was the clip of Singin' in the Rain where Gene Kelly singing Make 'Em Laugh. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hysterical. I would be like, that's so funny. And then finally, when I got older, I got to see the movie, and a couple of years later, I watched it again and again and again. I started comprehending, and I started, really respecting Gene Kelly as an actor, because I thought, I want to be Gene Kelly. He can sing, he can dance, he's got the pretty ladies. And just like Purple Rose of Cairo, it kind of shows like it's a movie within a movie, and I love that. This next movie I watched over and over and over and over and over and over until the VHS tape busted and popped, because I watched this movie that many times. And that movie was Wayne's World, Party Time, excellent, wee 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 wee. Yeah, you can't do that anymore. But Wayne's World, what can we say? It's kind of like the Vinnie Langdon show, if the Vinnie Langdon show was in the 80s and 90s. And basically Wayne's World was about a guy named Wayne Campbell and his best friend Garth. And basically they had a little public access show where they filmed and interviewed a band, just like I do. And the movie was hysterical when it came out in 1993. And Mike Myers was like one of my favorite early on actors. And and Dana Carvey as well. You freaking hilarious people, you know. And originally it was a SNL, Saturday Night Live sketch that turned into the movie, and good movie. I mean, I could sit there and watch it again. In fact, I do have Wayne's World in my DVD collection. I have Wayne's World 1 and 2 all on one DVD, so I can just sit there for, 4 hours and watch it, One of the first movies, my parents out and my sister, they always say, I remember Vinny when he would, recite the entire movie of Wayne's World from beginning to end, and that's how much, I love the movie. Number 1. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Star Wars was amazing, and it changed my life forever. That is right. Of course, I didn't see the movie. Of course, it came out in 1977, but I didn't see the movie until like 1992 or 1993, 1994 or something like that. And basically, I watched Star Wars over and over and over and over and over again, just like I did with Wayne's World. And those were the two movies I would alternate in the VCR. I'd be like, bloop, 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 and throw some Ninja Turtles in there and all that. But, yeah, Wayne's World was amazing. I remember watching a documentary, it was a VHS tape, and it was behind the scenes of Star Wars A New Hope. And I was just fascinated. Like, I saw the big camera, I saw George Lucas with the clapboard, the slate, doing his thing, and I was like, I want to make movies one day. I want to be a movie star. I want to be Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. Star Wars was awesome. I had all the action figures. Just remember that. I remember going to Long's and buying all the action figures in the toy aisle. And they're like $9 each. $9.99 each. And we go to Toys R Us and we buy the vehicles and the, oh my gosh, my childhood was amazing. That's my top 10. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And I want to know what you guys are all doing this weekend. So comment below, tell me what you guys are doing this weekend, and I'll see you guys on Friday.